Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast, bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand, Centennial World. Welcome back to Mini Scroll, everyone. I am so shook by all of the kind words and excitement for our return for 2025. You guys were so sweet. Like, honestly, we were bombarded by comments of excitement and well wishes, and I'm just so excited for this year. So thank you guys so much. Before I get into the stories for today, I did want to let you guys know that we have decided to close our Geneva group. So we just haven't had capacity to be in the weeds of interacting with you guys, sharing stories in there, and we haven't for a really long time. So we made the decision, instead of trying to figure out a way to make it work, to just close it for now. That's the energy that we're trying to bring in to 2025 is if we can't work smarter, we definitely can't work harder right now. We realized that 2024, our capacity was at its absolute limit. So we're trying to find ways to kind of alleviate a bit of that stress on the admin side of things. Into the stories for today. A couple of these stories I realized after I finished recording yesterday that I could have included them in yesterday's stories, but here we are. So the first story that I have for you guys is that Tarte Cosmetics is facing backlash again for an influencer trip that they are currently on to Necker Island amid the LA fires. So Tarte Cosmetics is currently hosting an influencer trip on Necker Island, and a lot of people are not happy about them still going ahead with the trip, essentially amid the LA fires happening this week. So I'm interested to hear your take on this. I was reading a huge Reddit thread about all of it to kind of gauge the general feedback, and it seems that there are two major camps. The first camp is that Tarte is a business. This trip would have been planned well ahead of the fires, obviously paid for, all of that. And disasters happen all the time around the world. So why would Tarte kind of cancel this trip? It's a work trip. It's not like the trip was to LA. People in this camp seem to feel like the backlash towards Tarte generally boils down to likability politics. Tarte is the number one culprit, as we know, for throwing these kind of lavish influencer brand trips in our faces. And some people are even equating these trips to rage bait, which I had never really thought of them like that before. But that is such a good point, and something that I'm going to keep a closer eye on, because at the end of the day, any influencer trip that Tarte did would get backlash. Obviously, this one is getting maybe a little bit more because of the timing of it, but again, they couldn't really control that. Okay, the second group on the internet seems to feel like it was the wrong move for Tarte to move ahead with this trip. Because partly some of the influencers on the trip might be from LA, and Tarte is an American beauty brand, and obviously American beauty, fashion, makeup, artistry is so anchored in LA. I think at first I felt more in the first camp, but my opinion has changed now because of the content specifically that Tarte has been putting out around this trip. So they are doing content where all of these beautiful people are packing donation packages and things like that on this trip while they're all safe on this luxury vacation. And obviously it is a bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? If Tarte was not being public about any donations or anything that they were giving back around this time, they would get so much more backlash. But this content specifically, it does feel icky. It feels really performative, right? It feels really tone deaf, given it's these gorgeous millionaire influencers on a free luxury trip on this safe island, kind of almost performing activism. That's how it comes across. I don't think people would feel as upset about all of this if it was a different brand that took everyone away. I think because it's Tarte, it feels even worse. And that is why the point of them putting on these trips as rage bait just resonated with me so much. I'm that's actually such an interesting theory. And I feel it really leans into the no PR is bad PR. And I feel that might be a bit of an archaic mindset. But at this point, they know that any trip that they do is going to get backlash. And so the fact that they continued to move forward with this trip despite the fires. I'm sure that they knew that this was going to get them even more backlash. So I don't know. It's really interesting. However, they did, I don't know if it was this trip or if it's their next influencer trip, but they are taking, I think it's one or two, like, quote unquote, regular people, like consumers who get to bring plus ones on these trips. And I think that's a bit of a progressive way to do these trips. I think that's showing that they're listening a little bit to the feedback. You know, people are always like, why don't you just give back to like your loyal customers instead of always giving back to these influencers? So I do think they're starting to listen to a little bit of the feedback and the backlash, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be slowing down these trips anytime soon. Okay, so there is a little offshoot drama from this. So Ken Eurich, who is a TikToker, posted a teaser today of a new podcast episode where she discusses the Tarte trip invitation and how Brianna Chickenfry was also invited. So she said in this teaser that she was invited, and then Tarte was basically like, can we jump on a call like with her management? So the brand let them know that Brianna would also be going on this trip, and in the teaser, Ken was like, well, maybe I'll get an apology, but Brianna doesn't seem like the type, I think she said the type of bitch to apologize. So in case you missed it, Ken called Brianna out last year after she did a Plan Brie live podcast show. Before the show, Ken, I guess, sent a few topics to Brianna and the team, saying that these are kind of like her non-negotiables, like the topics that she will not address or doesn't feel comfortable addressing on the podcast live show. And I guess Brianna asked Ken a bunch of those questions anyways. So I think she did a podcast episode about it that like went a bit viral on TikTok, calling Brianna out. I don't even know if she said her name, but it was very obvious who it was. So the craziest part of this is that Ken released this trailer, like I said, today while they're all on this trip. So she's on this trip, this like intimate vacation with Brianna, and drops this clip. That is the shady, like petty internet, like influencer shit that we just love here. I just love how shameless that is. Speaking of shameless shit going down on TikTok, the next story that I have for you guys is that a bride has gone viral for washing off her makeup 20 minutes before her wedding and then posting it all on TikTok. Okay, so this is also something I forgot to cover yesterday, but over the break, a bride named Lauren Avery posted a TikTok vlog of her washing off her professional bridal makeup 20 minutes before her wedding. In the clip, she is like freaking out a bit before she washes off all of her makeup, saying she basically just hated it, and then proceeds to do her own makeup. The makeup she did herself, like, it looks good. Sure. A lot of people are like, it looks the same. Like, I don't know. Honestly, the picture she showed of herself after was so far away, I really could not tell what her makeup looked like compared to the before. But this clip went so viral for kind of the wrong reasons. So normally I do think the internet would rally around her simply because, I don't know, doing that is super stressful. It's kind of relatable. Like, I'm sure there's so many brides that get their makeup done professionally and you're not used to seeing yourself in so much like heavy makeup and you feel like you kind of hate it. Like, I think that's probably a relatable experience if you don't get your makeup done professionally very often. So yes, I think normally this clip would have probably gone over well. However, there were two tells in this clip that made the internet kind of side-eye her and then turn on her. First, when she's washing off her makeup, one of her bridesmaids says something like, "Oh, she's still here. Do you want me to tell her to leave?" referring to the makeup artist. So the makeup artist was still there. So like, rather than communicating with the makeup artist, she basically hid from her. They all kind of came together and decided what they were going to do about like telling her to leave, and then she redid it herself. Second, when she's redoing her makeup, Lauren says, "I can't wait to post this on TikTok." The makeup artist was at Twirly Shears, so she herself didn't even have TikTok, but she got TikTok to respond because this went so viral, and I guess people in her life were sending it to her. Lauren didn't mention her. She didn't say who it was, but I guess the people on her team knew that Lauren was one of her brides and was sending it to her. So the makeup artist confirmed that Lauren did do a trial. She said that in the comments. And she said she thought that Lauren was happy with her makeup. She had no indication that she wasn't. She thought she was so nice and that everything went well. And then she also let us know that Lauren's wedding was in August. So she posted this video 4 months after that. To me, this whole scenario is so indicative of like our obsession now with these viral gotcha moments. I do think if TikTok virality wasn't a thing and we weren't also like fucking brain rotted, I don't think that Lauren's first thought would have been like, let me film myself taking this off and redoing it because I know that this is going to do so well on TikTok. I do think she may have thought like, let me just communicate this to my makeup artist. But I'm also surprised that the people who were around her getting ready, it seemed like there was a lot of people. There were definitely bridesmaids. I'm sure her like family, her mom, if she has a mom, like, I'm sure there was a lot of people there in the room getting ready with her. It sounded very busy. It seemed very lively. I'm surprised that none of them said to her, I mean, maybe they did and she just said no. But, I think in that scenario, like no one in my life, like the women in my life, my mom, my aunts, my friends, would let me take off all my makeup and redo it myself 20 minutes before while the makeup artist is still there. Like they would pull me back down to reality and be like, she is still here. So either you can communicate that to her, what you want, what you don't like, or if you don't feel comfortable because it's obviously your wedding day and this is important and you're stressed, whatever, like they would do that for me. People were already kind of like, when the video went up. And then when the makeup artist responded, that's when everyone like really turned on her when they heard more of the full story. Like the time between the wedding and when she posted this, the fact that she did have a trial, the fact that, it seemed like everything went well, all of that. Okay, the last story that I have for you guys, I'm going to recount a current drama that is going on Minecraft YouTube. Now, I know that this is obscure, but you guys also know that every once in a while I like to do a bit of like a boy internet story when I feel like it has bigger implications. And this one I feel like does. So there's this three-way drama right now between Dream, XQC, and Tommy Innit. These are some of the biggest Minecraft streamers on the internet. Dream also came into kind of like mainstream consciousness in 2022 when he did a face reveal, if you guys remember that, after years of streaming anonymously. So XQC, this is the background. XQC, he streamed with Donald Trump back in August. And this week, Tommy Innit publicly called XQC out for that stream. This kicked off a feud between the two of them. And then Dream was brought into it when XQC hit back at Tommy Innit saying his career was all about, quote, dick riding Dream. And now all of this has exploded because Dream posted a meme about this feud in which he called fans of Tommy Innit the R word. So he made his own meme and he called them the R word, but he did not say the R word. He typed out the word. Dream got tons of backlash for this, obviously, and he has now tweeted a response. He said, super annoying having certain creators shit on me and my friends constantly when we never say anything back. You shouldn't say the R word, but I'm literally autistic and the whole internet loved everyone calling me slurs, so obviously people are being disingenuous. I mean, this wasn't an apology, just an explanation. I posted a meme that I knew would make a lot of people mad. I'm not surprised people are mad. I don't take what the majority of people say on Twitter seriously. Okay, so that's quite a non-apology. He's actually telling us that he's not apologizing and saying that because he's autistic, I guess he can use that word, I think is maybe his implication there. So I wanted to cover this. It's obviously a very quick story, but I think it's a big deal because these are the boys who are like men. I actually don't know really how old any of these people are, but they give boy energy. They are some of the most influential people to Gen Alpha right now. And this is so far from like the worst thing that's happening on boy internet. I think we all know that. But I think it's important to cover these kind of controversies the same way that we cover girl internet controversies. The media loves to cover like girl internet feuds and whatever is happening on girl internet. But I think we can all probably agree that what happens on boy internet is arguably more harmful, and we need to give a bit more attention to it. On girl internet, we are basically being fed from a young age how to improve ourselves to like an inch of our lives at any expense necessary, right? I would say the main overarching theme on girl internet, the main overarching message is how girls can improve themselves. Boys, on the other hand, get messaging like this. Like they get this overarching message of entitlement and ignorance. And at the end of the day, they are learning from a very young age on the internet from these role models how to be hateful towards others, whereas girls are learning how to be hateful towards themselves. And that to me is the biggest difference between girl internet and boy internet. So I'm going to be coming for you, boy internet, in 2025. Okay, guys, that's it for Mini Scroll today. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get my followers up. I feel like every time I post, because I'm starting to change my content a bit and like post more like vlogs, day in the life stuff about like behind the scenes of the business and whatever's going on. And I don't know, like my OG followers are like not having it. So please follow me. Anyways, guys, I love you. I'm so excited to be back, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.